But the story clearly of this upcoming college football season is Arch Manning. And why?
Do you know how many big games Arch has gone to that weren't his, but it's like the Mannings are American football royalty.
Debut against Ohio State with scouts and more than a dozen NFL teams watching, including nearby Cleveland Browns. Manning was inconsistent.
And Manning rolls out of the pocket, throws across his body, and he skips that one.
He completed 17 of 30 passes, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, and an interception. A very underwhelming day for a player some has pegged as the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Johnny, is this a sign of things to come, or are we just saying it's just one star? Hey, let's not make too much of it.
That red dot that he said that they were swinging at everybody else, that motherfucker must be broken or something.
We're now tuned in to the Dark Times channel.
So here we go again, back with another one. Welcome back to the Dark Times channel. And we got to go ahead and talk about the double standard, because it took just a lot of college football fans, just one game, to start making those comparisons between the likes of Archie Manning and Shedeur Sanders.
These recognizable last names seem to be what creates stars in sports right now as much as anything else. Is like, oh, you're related to somebody. What gets me about Archie is his daddy wasn't even a quarterback. His daddy is the other one, the super coop dude.
I mean, obviously you have the famous family, but it's not coming from that direct gene pool.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. Like we're doing all this for a nephew?
And so let's go ahead and talk about it real quick. Archie Manning entered the season as a Heisman candidate, and not only a Heisman candidate, as the number 1 draft pick in the up-and-coming 2026 NFL Draft. And he was able to do that off his last name alone.
Manning family dinners are a big event. Texas football practice feels like a big event. So you say, oh, it's the first game against Ohio State. Do you know how many big games Arch has gone to that weren't his, but it's like the Mannings are American football royalty.
And so before the game leading into opening weekend, Archie Manning had the hype train behind him.
Manning family dinners are a big event. Texas football practice feels like a big event. So you say, oh, it's the first game against Ohio State. Do you know how many big games Arch has gone to that weren't his, but it's like the Mannings are American football royalty. In the history of the sport, there's this one family that is royalty. I never worry about the Mannings and the moment. It's a family of the big moment. Of course he chose Texas football, right? And so I just don't worry about that.
And a lot of people not necessarily expected him to come out and look like an NFL quarterback, but at the very least, a lot of people expected him to come out and perform like the Heisman candidate that they said he was. They expected him to perform like the generational talent that they said he was, and he didn't do that.
Look, everybody keeps saying that he's a generation. Bruh, we've got to stop with this generational stuff. Mm-hmm. Everybody is not generational. Just because they have 1 or 2 good games, do you understand what a generation is? Yeah. Do you understand what transcendent mean? Do you know what transformative mean? We just be using stuff because it sounds good. Stop saying that. He's not. He might be that, but if you look at Arch Manning and you say he's transformative, he's generational, you're lying. He's not.
And Archie Manning having one bad game against a great team in Ohio State is not going to define him as a player, or at least it shouldn't define him as a player. He's got plenty of time, plenty of opportunity, and no reason to really fail. He's playing for one of the best schools. He's got a great coach around him, great supporting cast, and so he's going to have every opportunity to prove what kind of quarterback he is. And so Shannon Sharpe was right on the money, because after watching Archie Manning, there was nothing that I saw on the tape that said he was a transcendent talent or even belong in the conversation of a Heisman candidate. But he was, and he is, and so now we have to get to the reason why.
But the story clearly of this upcoming college football season is Arch Manning. And why? I just need somebody to explain to me why. What's the big deal here? I also want to be very clear that Arch Manning has started 2 games and could not take the job from Quinn Ewers. Now, I don't know why exactly he couldn't take the job from Quinn Ewers. I don't know if you saw this, Ryan, but they did an interview, at press availability, and I forget one of the receivers. They asked who threw a more catchable ball, Arch or Quinn, and the response was no comment. The late great Neil Postman made a point in one of his books that he thought that we would reach a point where a prerequisite for running for political office would be some measure of celebrity that happened prior. He thought that was going to be an effect of television. And we have seen that bear itself out in the political world. I bring that up because these recognizable last names seem to be what creates stars in sports right now as much as anything else. Is like, oh, you're related to somebody. What gets me about Archie is his daddy wasn't even a quarterback.
And so the word that kept popping up with Shedeur Sanders was entitlement.
I don't want that guy. I don't want this kind of person in our entitled person on our team.
And the media framed it how they wanted to frame it the whole time. When Archie got hyped up without throwing a pass, they called it football royalty. When Shedeur showed a little bit of confidence or a little bit of pizzazz, it was called cockiness.
But, when you listen to this kid talk right prior or at the combine about if you want a new culture in your locker room, I'm the guy to do that. I can turn it around. I mean, he's very high on himself.
If you ain't trying to change the franchise or the culture, don't give me.
They said he was entitled, but let's get real. The real entitlement was Archie Manning walking into Texas with that last name and automatically being pushed as the Heisman favorite. And even when you don't perform the way you're supposed to go out there and perform, they already got a built-in excuse for you.
The first thing that really jumped out to me is that last year Ohio State used Chip Kelly. So they bring in an NFL guy who'd had success at college, but really knew the NFL game, a different, more sophisticated level of football. Ryan Day gives him the offense. And by the time they got to that playoff, you're just watching a pretty slick offense with obviously Ohio State talent. So now they bring in Matt Patricia. Well, defensive coordinators in the NFL face the world's best quarterbacks. So Arch Manning, especially in the first 3.5 quarters, he was seeing things. He didn't look comfortable. He didn't set and throw. He was completely off. It looked like he just hadn't practiced. Well, this is what a Matt Patricia can do.
Cam Newton was generational. We didn't, Cam, he played Alabama or he played LSU. We didn't make no excuses for Cam. He's going to have to play better in order for Texas to get to where they want to go. He will have to play better.
And this is a little bit bigger than football. I always say sports is a microcosm of how society works, and this is a perfect example because they reward families like the Mannings, and they say Archie is destined for greatness because of who his parents are, because of who his granddad is, because of who his uncles are. And meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is overhyped by that same logic because of who his father is. Same situation, but completely different narratives. And if we're being honest, if Shedeur's last name was Manning, he would have been the #1 pick, no doubt about it. Doing what he did at Colorado, taking the hits that he took at Colorado, playing the way he did under pressure when the lights were on, when the world was watching, he would have been the #1 pick, no doubt about it, if his last name was Manning. And so a lot of people are starting to wonder. A lot of people are starting to wonder if that word entitlement, it really just means you're not entitled to it. We can pick and choose who's entitled to have what and when they're entitled to have it. That's what some people may think. But those are my thoughts on it anyways. Make sure you guys go ahead and chime in below and try to keep that conversation going on as we usually do. And as usual, peace and chaos.